Who was there for your birth? Sure, our memories are a little fuzzy from that day, but just stop for a moment to consider who was there when you made your successful exit from the womb. Chances are the answer is going to be slightly different for each of us. For those of us in the minority of our worlds to have been born in a hospital, that answer might include doctors or nurses or the blessed anesthesiologists or whomever else seems to wander around the maternity wing of the hospital. Who are those people? For those of us who were born somewhere else, the answer could be anything from family to midwives to, in a pinch, the Wegmans cashier. The point is, we always have somebody different who is there for us. Each of people who are present for our births, with one important exception. All of us, for our birth, had our mothers present. We kind of had to. That's the way it works. It'd be strange if she wasn't there. We all had our mothers there for our births. It's one of those few things that unites all of human experience. When we are born, we need our mothers. Now, as we know, where we go from there is different for each of us. For some of us, that's the last experience we have of our biological mother. For some of us, it's just the beginning. For some, too early, and for others of us, it's a relationship that never quite gets going. But the truth is, no matter where our path takes us from that birth point on, we each, at some point in our lives, find ourselves in need of that relationship. Each of us, at some point in our lives, come to a place where we find ourselves longing for a little care. Maybe some of us are there today, in a moment when we could use a little embrace, a little hug, a little unconditional love. The truth is, whether we're 9 or 90, there comes a moment in each of our lives when we need a mother. The good news is that we have one. Do you hear? We have a mother. Even if we don't have a person that fulfills that role in our lives, we do have a mother, one who was with us on the day we were born and will be with us long after we die. It is not a biological mother, but a theological one who embraced us as her child and has never let us go. Now, admittedly, there are those who have a little hard time accepting the idea of God as a mother. Even though there are scriptures that speak about God in a feminine sense, we still have a hard time wrapping our minds around this idea. We're just kind of stuck in the tradition of only thinking of God as Father, but the truth is, neither father or mother are quite right. God is not a boy or a girl. God is both and neither. What that would mean in North Carolina right now, we're not exactly sure. We might of that creation story, the first creation story in our Bibles, when we speak about God. God says, God made humankind in God's image, singular, in God's image, male and female, God made them. In other words, the challenge is with the words themselves. The words that we use are not adequate to fully express God. And to pretend they are, frankly, is a little dangerous. We know from our own history the kind of damage that can come from trying to put God too neatly into our box. In the end, the best we can do is metaphor. Even the word God itself points to that which we call divine. We try and point to a truth about our relationship to the one who created us. And to this point, the best we can do is parent to child. For some of us, it's more helpful to say father, and for others of us, mother. But either way, friends, the relationship is the same. And so today, on this beautiful day, on this day when we find ourselves longing for a little nurture, for a little embrace, for a little grace, on this day when we find ourselves in need of that unconditional love that we have so long associated with a mother, we pause for just a moment to consider what it means to have God as a parent. In other words, we pause to consider what it means to be a child of God. We get a little help today from Paul and his epistle to the Romans. Many scholars think this is actually the last letter written by Paul. It's beautiful and simple and theological and hopeful, and in that letter wraps up 2 decades of his work into what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. Those who know something about the Protestant Reformation and certainly the foundation of the Methodist Church know that Romans is kind of an important book. It's one of those books that has been so influential. When John Wesley on May 27th, 1738 was sitting on Aldersgate Street in London and felt his heart strangely warmed, it was listening to a commentary on the book of Romans. It became the catalyst for the Methodist faith. And so today we listen to this passage and we are offered 3 hints, 3 insights into what it means to have God as a parent. The first insight to being a child of God is to remember that we are not only children. Paul begins by saying, all those who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. All who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. Now, Paul gets kind of a bad rap. People think he's a little too Paul-ish. That he's a little too legalistic, a little too sure, a little too quick to draw a line between who is in and who is outside of the faith. But here he is presenting the exact opposite. At the end of his theological studies, at the end of his life in ministry, he finally understands just who it is that is in this family. He says, all who are led by the Spirit are children of God. Now we have to ask, what is that Spirit of God that he refers to? And we know from the beginning of that chapter, at the beginning of Romans 8, he tells us that the Spirit of God is the Spirit of life in Jesus Christ. That the Spirit of life in Jesus Christ is the Spirit of God. He refers to it over and over and over again throughout that book, but it's not until the end of Romans when he finally gets to what that Spirit is. Put simply, love. The Spirit of life in Jesus Christ is the Spirit of love. In other words, if we're wondering who it is that's a child of God, it is all those who love. All of those who lead with love. All of those who put that commandment out there and attempt to use that as their northern star to follow it in life. All of those can be considered children of God. Friends, it casts a pretty wide net. It includes you and it includes me. It includes much more than that. It opens the door for interfaith conversation, for other ways of having people relate to God, because we can trust as people of faith that where there is love, there is God. Full stop. You are, as I am, a child of God. But the second lesson we take from today is that we have a choice about whether or not to embrace that. Paul goes on in his letter to say that though we were not given a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but rather we've been given a spirit of adoption, not a spirit of slavery, but a spirit of adoption. He's saying that none of us have to do this. None of us are compelled to be here today. Yes, it's Mother's Day and it's a nice thing to do, but hopefully we're not being held against our will. The truth is, we come because we want to come. We live this life of faith because it's our choice whether or not to embrace it. Paul is saying we don't do these things to earn the love of God. We already have it. That's the promise of grace. It is the spirit of adoption. God chose us so that we can choose God. We are free to do it or not. Sometimes adoptive love is even greater than biological because it's grounded in choice. When John Wesley was at that prayer meeting and he felt his heart strangely warmed, he wrote that he moved finally from faith in faith to faith itself. Up until that point, he had been a faithful person. He used to get up every morning, read scripture, listen to others' prayers, to have accountability groups. He'd go out and visit the poor, the sick, the imprisoned, come back and have breakfast and continue on throughout his entire day. He got whole groups of people at his college, Oxford University, to do it with him. He called it the Holy Club. They used to live so regimentedly, so methodically, that people around campus started calling them Methodists in jest. But it stuck. He was a faithful person up until that moment, but up until that moment, he was doing those things to earn the love of God. Perhaps, friends, we have been there. Tried our best to find those things that we can do to make God love us. But grace means that God already does. John Wesley continued to do those things after that moment, May 27th, 1738. But now he was able to do them as a response to God's grace of free will, free choice. Friends, we all have the same choice. We can choose to embrace the grace of God as God has embraced us or not. It doesn't mean that God won't love us if we don't. It just means if we do, we will find life. Which brings us to the third lesson. And it is this: that even if we choose to embrace that life, things won't always turn out like we hoped. Paul says when we're finally able to get ourselves to the place where we embrace our identity as a child of God, when we're able to shout out, Abba, Father, or more literally and intimately translated, Daddy. When we're able to connect with God as a mother or a father, when we're able to embrace that identity, it doesn't mean things are always going to go our way. It means that we become joint heirs with Christ, that we have the same call that was placed before Jesus Christ, and we are called to live it well, to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And it doesn't take more than a cursory glance at those who have really tried, starting with Jesus himself, to know that it doesn't always turn out like we hoped. Being a person of faith can indeed mean great joy. It can mean hope and excitement and life, but it can also mean pain. Standing up to injustice is not easy. It doesn't always look nice. Speaking out when we'd rather be quiet is something that doesn't always make us feel good or allow us to be treated well. It's not always comfortable, but it is that to which we are called. Friends, over and over again in life, we are reminded that we never know what a day is going to bring. We just don't. And sometimes it will be wonderful. And sometimes it will not. The promise of grace is that no matter what the day holds, we are not alone. Do you hear? We are not alone. Friends, that is why we are here as a church. We're not a perfect place, but we are more perfect together than we are apart. We are here to remind each other through the vicissitudes of life that there will be challenges, but we are not alone. We don't have to face them alone. That being a child of God means that we are a part of a large family. It means that we have a choice about how we live, and it means that sometimes things are going to get rough, but it also means that we don't have to face them alone. That is why we are here. And the really good news for us on this Mother's Day is a reminder that even when we fail as a community, as we are bound to do from time to time, even when we don't live up to our baptismal commitment, our membership vows, even when we fail to fully love one another, there is one who will never fail us. In other words, friends, the good news of our faith is that in those moments when we need a mom, we have one. The mother of us all, who was there when we were born, and who has never left us since. Thanks be to God. Amen.